was just kind of. I know a couple weeks ago, Rand said that about 10th graders.
Swimming waves.
I think.
Freshmen or seniors are kind of on.
It's either that or everybody gets up to one point, like, you know, the teacher had to get right to here and done. And that's what's happening. And then I found out we don't have ISS until the 19th.
Wow.
It's Friday.
Why is there no ISS till 19? She go? Oh.
I'm just. So, some of the kids, that just won't help. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's
So
really
first, let's laugh at the
Oh, they're gonna
stapling
laugh at
challenge.
that one. And they'll forget.
And staple challenge. I apologize. I can't. When I double these, they're always wrong.
Can you just tell them it's manga style?
What?
Manga style. Manga is the Japanese thing, but it's backwards.
Oh, right.
Down on the other side.
That's what I meant.
Manga style.
Now you know.
Oh, sorry, Ernest coming out.
So this should turn out really well. We'll try and go fast, but I think we may actually
that your dog?
have useful things. Nope.
That's his brother.
Yeah. It turns out our school is the Bulldogs. Hence,
What?
that's a bulldog. This is actually quite nice. I'm supposed to talk about graphing in a vertical team situation, and that's kind of what we've been working on, right? From lab or who? Department managers.
It's not Lat Simmons.
I'm sorry. So the first thing they had us look at, there was actually a little presentation for people like me. That was a 30-minute little screencast of what to do, what this was for, and so let's imagine middle school and even elementary school teachers showing up, and basically if we start over here, it talks about if you just work backwards from the high school stuff, what they need to know on the exams, kinds of things. If we do that and then work backwards to the freshman classes and then middle school and then even elementary school, those are kind of a breakdown of the bigger skills that they need. Having been a middle school teacher, some of those are kind of scary at the middle school. Endothermic, exothermic reactions. I mean, I think that the whole vibe of getting is making things more rigorous for everybody, right? Which we all know that's kind of where we're going. So we get yelled at about that kind of about everything all the time. So nothing new there. Next, what they had us do was, let's imagine us breaking up into groups and just talking with middle school and high school teachers about what they're doing, what everybody is working on, how far they get, how everybody can support towards the AP success stories that we want to get for all the kids, get more kids involved, more kids doing well in AP stuff. So we just did all that. We have a nice vertical team. We now love our all the elementary and middle school teachers, and they all love us, and we're all one big happy family. So flip the page. I have 3 free response questions that have graphing on them. And here's what I thought we would do. I don't understand most of the biology and the chemistry on them at all. However, let's try just something that I think would be kind of cool. If you want to try and read all this, feel free. I can't. Pancreatic hormones. Yeah, I got and a maltose concentration and things like that. So you skip all the way down below the little table of numbers. See if you can predict. This is a 10-point question. Pick out the parts that have graphing on them, parts that don't have graphing. And then on the parts that have graphing, for example, 2A, graph the data, blah, 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 and there's a blank graph for you, okay? There's going gonna be points on that. See if you can figure out, just guess, how many points they would give for part A and exactly where they would be.
You said it was 10 points total?
10-point question.
For just one A?
The whole question is 10 points, but go through and for example, part B has no graphing stuff on it, so don't do anything with that, just say, that's probably 2 points. But on part A, go through and say, I think that's 7 of the 10 or whatever, and you would get points for this, this, and this.
So each one is 10 and 2 is 10?
No,
We're gonna do
I'm
one.
sorry, 2 is 10.
Okay, got it.
Yes,
10 the
sorry,
whole
I
two.
didn't know you did
Got
that.
it. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's one point for correct placement of setup in the graph and one for graphing the data.
Like a fraction of points, like a half point for that, half point for that?
Do they give half points or do they offer
Yeah.
point? No, it's usually whole points.
So it's either set up right or it's completely wrong, like if they give.
Right.
Yeah, so for instance, say they had all, well, this is mine, everything set up right except for didn't label one in access or whatever, then it's no.
They didn't put a label on right, you think the whole thing would be wrong?
It's at 1 point.
Okay.
I'm saying,
Okay.
I don't know what you guys are saying, I'm saying 1 point for correct setup and 1 point for correctly plotting the data.
So Rick predicts 2 points, one for setup and one for what you call it. So on this one, the graph is 4 points.
That's what I could look at.
Oh, wait, no, we made it for
I
5.
made 4, I did say 4. But I didn't like that I said 4 because I felt like when they're reasoning and thinking, I wanted that to be the highest.
Right, and one of the things they talk about is the graph, the kids need to get to the point where they're reasoning because of the graph.
So if they don't have a graph right, you can't reason correctly.
It's kind of weird. This is the scoring guidelines, so the AP, after the test, puts out exactly how the points are given. And, too far? Sorry, just find it this way.
Smart boards are pretty dumb.
All right, so I think it's kind of funny. They made the graph really squishy to fit everything on one page, which is goofy. That's a horrible graph, I think. So here you go, graph, 1 point for each of these. Correct orientation, independent and dependent variables, so putting them on the right.
That is incorrect. The time is not the independent variable. The concentration of maltose is the independent variable. Because the experimenter has control over how much maltose they're putting into the system. They don't have control over how long it takes.
Aren't they measuring the concentration after a
It's a
certain amount of time?
reaction going
Oh,
on.
it's a
It's a
reaction
reaction
going.
going.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I should have read.
It's funny, it's the exact same stuff that we do all the time. Independent, dependent variable, 1 point. Correct display of units and intervals, so even spacing and good units. And then all the data points are right. So it's interesting, sometimes they give a little grace on the graphs and say you can miss one and you'll still get that point, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because this isn't one of the AP Bio released tests, I've seen them where it's, like I said, 1 and 1.
Yeah.
but this has calculation to it, sometimes they just have to
Right.
graph the data.
So,
And-
no, go ahead.
No, so that,
So technically, the graph was only 3 points, because there's a graph and calculation. Very, very, very important. All the tests are going towards rates. So you have to do the rise and run thing. Physics is just going nuts with that, and that's what they say everybody's leaning towards. Not just plotting data and saying something like picking numbers off, which you do, but tell us a rate of something between 2 times. So that's kind of the ginormous deal. So it's kind of cool. It's just what we do. Exactly the same stuff, what we're giving points for. Nothing crazy. Let's go down to B. B, explain. So that's not us. C, this is kind of interesting. Guess how many points?
2.
For what? Did you guys get that far?
2.
Okay, 2 points. You know exactly what for?
1 for their line and 1 for explaining.
That's what I thought.
All right, so here we are. Draw and label, 2 points. Woohoo!
Wow.
Draw a new line showing appropriate prediction, and you can have 2 lines on this one. I don't understand why, but I didn't really read it. And then 1 for explain. So, in a 10-point question, excuse me, we had 3 points for the graph plus 1 more. So that's 4 points. 4 out of 10 is a solid 3 on the exam. So if all they do is graph and can't do anything else, on this question, they have a passing score. So that's kind of cool. Now, this won't be on every question, but on one question, the graphing will get you to pass, which is, so it's an important deal. That was message number 2, is that it's a big chunk of points. Okay, let's flip the page. Go to the chemistry one. Now I have absolutely nothing on this one for 2 reasons. One, it's 2011, and number 2, it's Form B, so it's harder to get a hold of. There was nothing in their packet about this, but skip the first part all the way over to C. This graphing question is strictly reading and understanding what's going on. You don't actually have to make a graph. Now, in chemistry, there will be another one where you make a graph. But it's kind of interesting. I learned last night, AP Environmental Science has never had to make a graph, just read graphs. Whereas chemistry, physics, and biology all have to make a graph. So, for whatever that's worth, the sort of baby-ish environmental or AP class, the environmental one that's probably easier. That's probably one reason it's easier. So not actually making it. So, message, whatever we're on, 3, 4. Not all the graphs need to be made. It's just reading what's going on and understanding, being able to pull stuff off the graph. So, different example. Flip over to physics. Physics is probably the graph heaviest one of all, and pulling rates off of graphs are all over it. So part A on number 1, sketch a graph of acceleration. Okay, so again, making a brand new graph, and part B is doing some calculations, and then after that it's mostly calculations, but again, making a graph as usual. Now, here's what's interesting. They give you, on this graph, the time interval on the bottom and the labels. So it varies a lot. You're going to see pretty much every permutation, combination of everything you can imagine on the exam. to here's most of the sides and whatnot. The other thing they like to see is a key. Now, we haven't seen points for a key yet, but labeling appropriately, so the key doesn't have to be the little box on the side, but this line is this, like that. Where, if they wrote it and put an arrow, you know, so you knew which was which, that's fine. But it's all the little things we do. So it's nothing new. It's just, yeah, same stuff, which is a great message. Now, here's something I thought was totally cool. This staple job is not my fault if it's bad. I had a kind of disinterested student assistant yesterday who wasn't particularly helpful, although it did get stapled, so I shouldn't complain. And you get the funny staple one. So look at the graphs. Up in the upper left corner of every single problem, it tells you what the skill is you have to do on that question. Okay? So, this one here, all this list of 4 or 5 things are the skills that the kids are having to do. And you can just flip through and.
Is this something you made up, Grant?
I did not, I stole this. But I liked it a lot.
You have it digitally?
Yes, yes, I will get, yeah, and that was the other thing, I was gonna put these, I was gonna send them all to you. I just didn't get to it. So, that, I found this helpful. And then, oh yes, there's more. This was beyond a cool idea, I thought. Absolutely glorious, way too hard for a lot of what we're doing now. However, I think this could be a really, really nice template.
Oh, yeah, I think you have to start working on an area under your site.
Yeah, okay, starting during your block. Baby steps.
So, if we kind of imagine taking the slope of a line and analyzing that as one of the skills that's kind of at the higher end of things, and tougher for kids, and if they can do all the rest right, that builds to this skill. So this was made from a physics dudess, Rebecca Jensen. She built a process to get the kids to be able to do this on their own. And so it's very guided at first. If you look here at the beginning, problem 1, and she walks through it, and she actually gives blanks for the kids. Okay? The independent variable is, she's trying to blah. And so you have to know the science behind it, so this wouldn't work for earth science exactly. It would need to be tweaked. However, she walks through step by step and goes, okay, now do this, now do this, now do this. And then problem number 2 is a little bit more released in the teaching language of everything. So I just looked at this and I went, wow, this is kind of cool, because that could help me throughout the year start my kids doing graphs this way and then see if I can end up over on the last page by then.
And I know as well, the laying the foundation has stuff like this for both biology and chemistry, so I can send that stuff to you guys as well.
So anyway, not,
ETF logging.
yeah, don't take this as do this, but just as a, maybe an idea to spark something that you could tweak in your class.
You guys should see it.
So, so with all the graphing we've done and the ideas, hopefully there's just some more stuff in the, that's it. Graphing with Grant, part 1. I think we're gonna do one more graphing later on. Ma'am, I don't think you're supposed to have stuff to hand out to everybody.
No, I'm not, I'm off task right now. You go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thanks for
I'm
calling
sorry.
me out in front of all of
Do
them.
I need to be a little more quiet? So you don't bother you? I apologize.
I thought you were done.
You know.
Oh.
Do you wanna, in here, do you wanna go in the other room, or do you wanna do?
Let's go in the other room just so we're all looking at each other.
Oh, God.
All right.
You have to look at us.
People.
Rick, Ren. Do you want these?
We could, did, Afton?
Film you?
And a
Smile
umbrella.
and then
To
a-
the man.
yeah.
Yeah, it's done a lot.
I brought donuts
I'll
because
be in
I
a
was
second.
facilitating the meeting, I want people to like me.
I know, that's what I thought. And
Like shameless.
we're voting at the end of the meeting, did I tell you? To whether we keep me or
I would vote
you're
for
the
you.
new, you're the new one.
The problem being blocking out that hour piece of time.
When did Amos do these? Did they
Uh,
walk out time? Cause they should have already done theirs.
right,
Or doing them this week.
right, they, no, I can't remember. What I was thinking we would do is, we have a really weird schedule on Thursdays. We don't actually start class for a long time. And so take them out of one period and see if we can
Oh, that might work.
double them up, because
You
I
could
have.
get them here at
Yeah,
their normal time and then just keep them during y'all's,
yeah.
yeah.
So, that was one of the things we were gonna talk about. We had an email to, hey, we need to think about this, and just never chatted about it. Actually, maybe you know, I have a question. I recorded myself, but actually I should turn that
This is
off.
our consultant?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't find the information on the application. I had it, and it's gone.